What's up, guys? So today's video we're going to be looking at the last part of astrology before I get into the actual signs themselves and sort of the myths and stuff behind them and their particular personalities. And so we are looking at the celestial houses today. Before we get into that, very quickly, click the link in the description below and help support My Febfast. We've got just over a week left, which is great, and any and all help would be much appreciated. You will be enabling young people who are experiencing serious disadvantage to be able to access the resources and the support and community and that sort of stuff that they need to be able to lead healthy and fulfilling lives and feel valued and included, and have every opportunity to thrive. Your support will also be helping to reduce the severity and frequency of alcohol, drug and mental health related issues, including antisocial and self-harming behaviour. So it's really a worthwhile cause, and it really would mean a lot if you could check out the link down below. With that out of the way, let's get into the houses. Now, normally for this sort of thing I would use Wikipedia just as a starting point, therefore allowing you guys to go out and, if it's something you're interested in, look it up a little bit more in depth, having already experienced the sort of a general hub that Wikipedia is known to be. However, I had already recorded this video using Wikipedia, and it was a lot of me wondering what the hell it was talking about. So I actually have an actual website that I was reading through just after I finished recording. I sort of saw it and was like, what's this tell me? And it told it in so much more detail that it made so much more sense. Yeah, it's definitely going to be helpful for this. So I'm gonna sort of shift myself over and insert an image just here of the cycle of the houses, and let's get into it. How in depth does this go? Okay, cool. Right, so whenever you're looking at a birth chart, you'll probably see something that's drawn in a circle, and it's got, you know, the sort of alchemy symbols for the planets and moon and the sun and stuff within that circle. Not all necessarily, and probably extremely rarely, all evenly spread out. So you may have two signs within the one little section. You may have two or three in a row that don't have anything in them at all. That is all completely normal, and that's actually that's putting your planets and stuff within a chart of the houses. Okay, so this gets fairly detailed. I'm going to sort of try to cover the basics, and I'll leave this linked down below so you can check it out and have a full read yourself if it's something that you're interested in. Okay, so it starts off by saying much of astrology takes place in the sky. Planets, zodiac signs, and aspects are all things happening in the heavens. But it isn't only about what's up there, it's also about how the Earth relates to the sky. even more so is about how we can bring the heavens into matter and help the matter to become more divine-like. It's the houses in astrology which bring the action of the heavens down to earth. How the sun moves through the sky during the day forms the basis for house meanings, and therefore encoded in the houses is deep wisdom about the polarity of day and night, as well as how each of the planets dances within its polarity. So an astrological chart is drawn from the point of view of someone standing in the northern hemisphere facing south towards the sun, where the sun rises in the east. Where the sun rises in the east is on the left, and where the sun sets in the west is on the right, and north is behind you. And that is shown by that little graphic there. As you can see, one is here, and then we go around. So we've got the top here is south, and if you look at it that way, it's then north, east, south, west. I believe I got that right. It might have been the other way around. In fact, I'm almost certain now I think I got it the other way around. So in other words, the sun appears to move clockwise across the sky from east to west. Now, one of the most common questions when learning astrology is, the sun appears to move clockwise, so why are the house numbers, why are the houses numbered counterclockwise? The simple answer is that the Earth is that the Earth it's the Earth that's spinning, not the sun that's moving. So the houses are numbered in the order they rise above the horizon. So therefore, having one just below the horizon, it is therefore the first house to rise above as the image. Sort of, if you were to put a pin in the middle of it and turn it clockwise, you would have then go 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're numbered counterclockwise, so as you turn it clockwise, it comes up in order. Because if you were to do that with a regular clock, if you were to turn it clockwise, you'd actually be going down in numbers, starting at 12. The next section focuses on the great circles. So imagine drawing lines through the sky connecting the compass points or around the horizon. These lines, called great circles, form the framework upon which the astrological houses are built, and there are 5 of these. So there's the horizon line, which is fairly easy. It is where the Earth, touches the sky. There's the prime meridian. That's the one that passes directly overhead, connecting north and south. There's the prime vertical, which is the exact same with the east-west. There's the celestial equator, which is the Earth's equator just projected out onto the celestial sphere. And then there's the ecliptic, which is the path the sun travels or appears to travel through the sky. And because the Earth is tilted on its axis, the ecliptic is tilted at 23.5 degrees north or south of the celestial equator, depending on your latitude. Over the centuries, astrologers have suggested numerous ways to build house systems from this framework. That's why astrology has 24 different systems of astrology houses. It does then mention to worry about those later, and first talk about why the houses mean what they do. Alright, so the next one here, a cosmic playing field, chart angles. A sports metaphor is really useful here. You can imagine these great circles marking out a playing field, and the field is your life, or at least the stuff you encounter in it. In the intersections, we use the intersections of 3 great circles, the horizon, the ecliptic, and the prime meridian, to define the field. These points are traditionally called pivots or hinges. They haven't finished the word traditionally, it just says traditional on the page. Represent the cross of matter or the material plane. We also call them the chart's angles. Alright, so the The ascendant marks the point where the ecliptic crosses the eastern horizon. The ascendant was considered the most powerful point in a chart because it determines your rising sign and all other houses in the chart. It represents how you dawn on the world. Not surprising, since also where the sun rises in the east. It also represents you, your body, your appearance, your style, and is associated with the first house. You can see all of this in this image up here. Opposite the ascendant lies the descendant, or the place where the sun sets in the west. It's associated with the 7th house. It's opposite the first, so it contains what's not you, or in other words, the other, especially important others in your life, like your spouse, your partners, business and romantic, but also the other side of the debate, the other team, even your adversaries or competitors. Then going along the north-south axis, we have the 10th and the 4th houses. So the medium Coli, I believe it's supposed to come from Latin for heaven. Also known as the midheaven, is located at the intersection of the ecliptic and the prime meridian in the sky overhead. It's the highest point in the sky planets can travel during the day. And so, because this area of your life contains the things that are literally the most elevated in the sky at the time, it also has to do with the highest potential of that moment. It's related to your calling, or in other words, your vocation or purpose in the world. It can also relate to your career, your status or reputation. The MC, as it's abbreviated, is associated with the 10th house. Opposite this is the 4th house, where when planets are in the 4th house, you can't actually see them from where you're standing because they are overhead on the other side of the planet. Since it's opposite the south of the chart, we call it the north. Opposite the MC is the Imam Kali. It's the intersection of the prime meridian and the ecliptic that's hidden by the Earth, or the lowest point the sun can sink. As the bottom of your chart, it represents your roots, lineage, and heritage, your ancestors and family traditions to your land and estate, and the IC is linked with the 4th house. If the angles create the playing field, the planets are the players. Of course, it's not a game unless we have two teams, so let's call them the day team and the night team. The traditional word for a team in this case would be sect, so I will be using sect from here on out. No surprise, the sun is the team captain for the day sect and the moon for the night sect. Each captain chooses its player. So the sun has Jupiter and Saturn. Is this relating to this particular? They have an image here, and as you can see, Jupiter and Saturn are just here. I'm wondering if this is purely in reference to this. I think it might be, because I think that's how it explains it down here. So the sun will have Jupiter and Saturn, and the moon will have Venus and Mars, and Mercury will be the referee. Each planet gets assigned a place on the field according to their playing strengths. These are called the planetary joys. Then each plane becomes associated with all the stuff that allows the planets to express themselves in the mundane world. So in that example, the house of the moon is the 3rd house. It contains everything familiar to you, brothers and sisters, but also the people you see around the neighborhood, the co-workers you see every day. It's also your habits and routines and the places you visit on a regular basis, short trips to school or work or the grocery store. Basically, it's your comfort zone. The moon was also associated with writing and bringing the messages of the other planets down to Earth, so the 3rd house contained those things too. Opposite the moon is the sun, and so no surprise that the 9th house is the house of the sun. Remember, to the ancient Greeks, the sun was Apollo, who oversaw the oracles of Delphi, so prophecies, dreams, and mysteries found their place in the 9th house. So so did always to explore the mysteries, philosophy, religion, and the like. In other words, anything that can get you outside your comfort zone so you can grow. Of course, the house of Venus contains all the things she loves. If you've ever studied astrology, you'll already know that must be the 5th house. It holds all acts of pleasure, romance, and sex, plus vacations, playtime, and anything else fun. The house of Jupiter contains all things which uplift and support us, which in a perfect world are your friend. In medieval times, this would be your guild. Now we think in terms of trade associations, support groups, even spiritual communities, charities, and philanthropy too. In astrology, that's the 11th house. The house of Mars is known as the 6th house. It's a place of hard work, those who worked hard and those who worked for you. Sorry, all those who worked for you. It's also a house of all your duties and obligations that presumably require effort to fulfill. Also the house of illness or health, since maintaining your own body is kind of an obligation, so that he can serve you in return. Basically, all this alludes to the notion that Mars is at the best when he has a job to do, something constructive he can use his energy for. The house of Saturn has been called the house of hidden things, also known as the 12th house. Saturn sets limits and boundaries, all those things which set us apart. The hospitals, jails, and monasteries, but also going on retreat or sabbatical. You could even call it the house of taking a break from social media. I think this article is trying to be getting hip with the kids. Last but not least is the planet Mercury. He's the god of all in-between places, also of reason and thought. He chooses the first house as the house of his favourite things, as the house of the dawn. It's the place in between day and night, and that's appropriate to the travelling planet. But it also suggested that reason and mindfulness is the best way to approach life. Plus, as referee, it gives Mercury the best position for watching over the whole game. If you're counting, we have 2 houses left without planets. That doesn't mean they aren't important. They're just represented where the sun was preparing to rise or set for the day. They were called the gates of Hades because the sun traveled through the underworld during the evening hours. So the sun entered the underworld in the 8th house. It represents going into the shadows, figuratively and literally. It's the shadowy place of our unconscious, the stuff we prefer not to see about ourselves, and the place of taboos, criminals, and other underworld denizens. Plus, of course, the house of death, since the dead travel down to the underworld too. The sun emerged from the underworld in the 2nd house. So in ancient understandings, riches would come out of the ground. So gold, silver, and other precious things. Also the crops that sustain the life. So it's a house that's associated with wealth. And so knowing that, you'll be able to look at your birth sign, your birth chart, and see wherein each thing, your planets and heavenly bodies reside, and so therefore knowing where each planet resides, you're able to see which planets are in their own houses and which ones aren't, and that can help you to sort of see that, for instance, if Venus is in its house, which was, where are we? Saturn. So if Venus is in the 5th house, you'll know that all things relating to romance and leisure and that sort of thing is going to be stronger than, say, if it was in the opposite the 5th house, the 11th house. So like I said before, I haven't actually studied this particular aspect of astrology in depth. So we're learning together today. But I just really thought that this was a really good website to do that on. What do we got here? Alright, so it's almost the end of this article. I may as well go on, there's only 2 extra parts left. So the basic house meanings can answer many of the most pressing questions, but what about the more obscure questions? Let's say you want to ask about how you can be more supportive of your partner's work. You can use a technique known as toning the chart or derived houses to find new meanings. First, find the house in your chart that represents your partner, so the 7th house. Then, starting with the 7th house, count forward 10 houses to find the house that represents your partner's career, and you can use that house to answer your question, how can I be more supportive of my partner's career. In case you are wondering, that would be the 4th house, which was mentioned obviously first, 6th, 11th, 5th, 9th, 3rd. There's the 4th house. So the 4th house represents your... I don't understand how that works. Anyway, I don't fully understand how that particular thing works. I'm guessing it will tell us. Right, so if you've been doing astrology, you're actually using some derived house meanings and don't even realize it. In fact, some of the derived house meanings are so ingrained we don't even realize they're actually derived. For example, children are located in the 5th house because the 5th house is the 2nd house. Is the 2nd house from the 4th house, or the things that belong to the family. Right. I know these derived houses might seem confusing at first, but once you get used to the logic of it, you'll love it. There's really nothing you can't ask a question about. It's like adding an astrology expansion pack. Right. That will be something that I look into, and I'll probably revisit that next year after I've done all the actual signs themselves. I will teach myself this over the next year. The second overlay is called natural houses. So modern astrologers are also familiar with another house overlay, the natural houses. Astrologers since classical times have pondered the relationship between the 12 zodiac signs and the 12 houses. In medical astrology especially, both the zodiac signs and the houses have been used for diagnosis. Placing the head at the top, Aries or the 1st house, and the feet at the bottom, Pisces or the 12th house. But it wasn't until the 60s or 70s that modern astrologers popularized the natural chart as the primary basis for interpreting house meanings. Considering that so much of astrology's foundational theory had been lost, it made sense. Under this system, which is called the 12-letter alphabet, the 12 signs are aligned with the 12 houses and the planets. So the sign Aries is linked to the 1st house, and Mars, Taurus to the 2nd house, and Venus, Gemini the 3rd house, and Mercury, and so on around the wheel of houses. That way, new students only had to remember the 12 letters based on the 12 zodiac signs, rather than a lot of different pieces. This natural house overlay is another one of the hot button issues among astrologers right now. Those who learned astrology in the past 40-50 years use the natural house overlay. Those who've begun to relearn traditional astrology techniques have stopped using it, or at least don't use it as much. But the real reason is that there's usually more than one way to do something, and astrology is no exception. If you find yourself in an argument about the right system, you might be confusing the model for what the model represents. So yeah, that's what that site tells us about the houses. If you are like me, it has given you more questions than answers, really. but that just means that we're going to have to learn about this stuff together. And if you want to do that, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, starting about this time next month, and then sort of every month after that. I'm going to be looking at the actual signs themselves, going off that and using the natural overlay. I may also include one house as well, but we just have to see how we go. But yeah, if you want to see those videos, do hit those buttons so that you are notified when I upload new videos. If you liked this one, please give it a big thumbs up, and again, don't forget to hit the link in the description down below, help out My Febfast, or if you want to reread that article yourself, so that you can better understand it if I went too fast for you or something, then by all means. And yeah, until next time guys, keep your head screwed on.